ignited the development of Mbale. When you get down to Mbale of recent, and that keeps us busy, is first of all the physical environment of Mbale. The terrain of the area, the valleys, the gullies which are there, are not only a challenge in environmental management and urban development, but our visitors come to admire and see what is unique about Mbale. Then the physical appearance of the mountain itself, the mountain slopes, have also made some wonders that some people go mountain climbing, and they learn a lot about the wildlife that is there on the mountain. The ecosystem is so interesting. The flora and fauna in the region is very interesting. So many birds. People go for birding. People go to admire the flowers which are there. Are all very important. But lastly, the supportive community. The community around Mbale has been so supportive to the urban process of the city. That's why recently, when it was a municipality, it quickly expanded into what it is now called a city, with less challenges, and that the population that has been brought to former municipality is willing and cooperative to support the urban process in the city.
Yes, please. Indeed, thanks for that wonderful question. But before I proceed, I have to say a vote of appreciation to my colleagues, but you should allow me to use a different lens, and I use a different lens of a politician who sees things maybe in a different perspective than the technocrats. You started very well when you said that Uganda at 61 and Kampala at 61. That simple sentence means independence and sovereignty. The word independence and sovereignty, they have a very deep meaning. And when now you go for the deep meaning, you may borrow the words of our RCC, who has simply defined Mbale as a coffee producing area, 2 as a culture center of Mbalu, 3 as a tourist area where you may enjoy the falls, the valleys, and the plains. Now, starting it from that perspective, a moment you start announcing the ambition of making Mbale a city, you have to forego that. And the best banana bogoya I've eaten in Uganda comes from Mbale, not any other region. But the moment we start entertaining making Mbale a city, that one, I assure you, will have to be foregone. That is one aspect which I need to start on. 2, I'm not here to undermine or to say anything negative, but my always biggest issue is we put in a high gear wherever we are introducing a new program, a new policy. For instance, now, we started with the 10 cities, which is a big number in one's proper planning. And then immediately we added on another 5. You and me, you know the muscle of our government and its respective ministries. okay, and the resource envelope, which is always a big challenge. However, permit me to say, Kampala is a model, but have we met the demands of Kampala adequately when you talk in terms of urbanization and when you talk in terms of city? You find that, of course, Kampala is overloaded, is overcrowded, because it is the only city which has been there since independence to around this recent memory. Now, some planners are imagining that we can ease the pressure from Kampala by creating other cities who should also share the same burden. Now, at the same time also, we have to remember that how do you define Uganda, whether from the colonial experience or from the pre-colonial experience or the immediate post-independence experience? You talk about Uganda as an agricultural country. If you talk about Uganda as an agricultural country and you want now to go into urbanization and become maybe the Asian tiger of East Africa or of Africa, you need to have another advanced planning, that when I'm doing all this planning of creating a city, have I created agricultural zones? Because Uganda is known as an agricultural country. And since Uganda is known as an agricultural country, I would appreciate if you move from Kampala to Jinja and you say, between Buyikwe and Mukono, I have created an agricultural zone. Grow all the sugar canes you want. Such that we don't abandon what defines Uganda. Okay? If we abandon what defines Uganda, we may end up creating a very big crisis than we would have imagined to solve. I don't want to sound pessimistic. No. Me, I would do, if I was in the position of designing these policies, I would have said, let us do it piecemeal, and it should be based on regions. Northern Uganda, where can we have a new city if Gulu and the leader cannot qualify? Under that new city, we put everything we feel is worth to define a city as a cultural city, as a religious city, as an industrial city, as an administrative city. You furnish all that and you put it. Then you come to Eastern Uganda. Eastern Uganda between Jinja and Mbale. Where do we want the capital city for Eastern? And we demarcate, we do everything in our own best interest. Then we come to Western Uganda. Western Uganda, please, where? We live even in Barara, we don't touch it. Okay? And we go and we do almost the same thing. This even happens to Uganda. Because why am I raising that? A moment you start a trading center, a moment you start a municipality, who is going to invade it? It is the younger blood. These old people don't come to towns. They only come to towns when either they are getting their pension or when somebody is very much sick. It is the younger blood. And the younger blood, as far as I'm concerned, it is looking for job, it is looking for good life, and they are looking for the future. And you remember, they are highly, very fertile. This age of about 15 to 35, you will find that they have even 5 children, 6 children. That means that the more you create cities, you are inviting these younger men and girls who are going to overproduce, and you have what now they term a youth badge. Now, when you have youngsters whose expectations you have not met and you are unlikely to meet because they overproduce, they overcome in, you are likely to create a social, political, economic problem. And if you don't dash in to start airlifting them to Middle East for work, to try to engage them in a funny way, they can even turn their guns against you. We old people, we are comfortable with our lives. Whether we are oppressed, whether we are not, we can live with it. So there is that question which they must prepare for. And then also, when it comes to Uganda's scenario, if you create those cities, what is going to sustain the cities? Have you maintained the agricultural base that it is going to be producing raw materials for it? If it is, let me say, a Hoima city, as you have already been told, strategic, and we are expecting oil, I will tell you that Hoima will be sustained by its oil. Whether the Banyoro stop farming, oil is going to flow. What we need to do is to prepare ourselves that if oil stops flowing, will Hoima become a ghost city? Okay. That is the sort of thinking I would like, and that is the sort of thinking UPC is advancing.
Doctor, are we rushing to have the cities, or it is something that we'd like
Indeed,
to have?
we are biting too much than we can chew.
Okay.
Yes.
Julius, you've heard from Doctor, and also the RCC bring us the other picture from outside Kampala, that we are rushing, we are biting something that we can't chew. We are creating more administrative units. Formerly we had districts close to about 100 plus. We have the constituencies, if you to see the members of parliament going up to 500 plus, but we have not solved the problem. Now we are creating, on addition to many districts, many constituencies, we are adding cities. We haven't benefited much from these many administrative units, and now we are adding more, even when we did not nurture them. Are we likely to meet the targets that we have set?
To us as government, creation of cities was our game changer, and that was our dream. Like I stated clearly, well articulated in the Uganda Vision 2040. And we are talking about strategic cities, regional cities. One is that the regional cities are well defined, that they are regional. I give you an example of Mbarara. Mbarara is a regional city. It is not the Mbarara we see. We are looking at Mbarara and beyond. What is the Greater Mbarara? Mbarara is serving the Greater Mbarara, is serving the Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda, Burundi, Tanzania. That is the regionality. And when you profile the region that Mbarara serves, you realize that now the agricultural hinterland is very, very rich. But remember also that when we talk about the cities serve and they also served. So the regionality we are talking about is that location that the city serves. And I want to observe that the regional cities were strategically created because we looked at their regions. When we talk of strategic, give you an example of Fort Portal, tourism city. It is not the Fort Portal we see. We are looking at Fort Portal and beyond. Kasese, Rubirizi, Kanungu, Ndoroko, the regional, the Renzori, the part of Greater Ankole. So that strategy, the strategic city is serving that. So for us to say that we needed to maintain the agricultural productivity and talk about it, it's actually implied. And I want to assure you that these cities are serving those areas, and those areas are serving the cities. About Kampala being overcrowded, yes and no. If you look at the KCCA today, look at their strategic plan. we are moving KCCA to greater horizons, because there's a lot we are doing, but also the decongesting Kampala is now real, and it is real. I'll give you an example of decongesting, because we are releasing pressure. No, 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 no. And I want to invite you to the cities we have created today. 3 years down the road, you realize that the infrastructure we have in these cities, the services we provide now today are enough. They are sufficient for the communities that we serve. An example of Hoima. Actually, all the cities, we now have one-stop centers that you can go to a city and be served within a minute or two. You will get URA, you will get immigration, you will get trade, you will get your license, you will get your land title. I mean, in those cities, in one go, in one stop center. So these are services that would come to Kampala to get, but now we get them from these cities. Even in terms of infrastructure, that people who used to come to Kampala as a city, the only city, now go to Mbarara, go to Hoima, they go to Masaka. And if you have been observant that these cities have really grown, and we believe that by this speed we shall be there. Now I want to move to the other issue of planning, that we need to have we are planning. Look, no. And these cities now, we are not going to have them as business as usual. If you went to, now, like Arua has a development, has a physical development plan. Gulu has a physical development plan. Jinja has a physical development plan, and we are assuring that these other cities also have their plans. Now, what does this mean? It means that the moment you have a physical development plan, then you are able to plan for the people. This is organized settlement, assuring that you have communities living in real organized settlement. So for us, and I think now this is what we are talking about, the dream. What is the intention of this city? The city is created for a purpose, and we are committing resources to implementing these plans. That's why we are saying that the plans we are having are going to be implemented, and ensure that they are implemented to the dot. And we are concentrating on that. Like I said, our preoccupation at the ministry is to ensure that we deliver these cities in real intention. Well, I don't think that is true, because if you look at the districts we have today, yes, true, connected, accessibility, service delivery, the district leadership, and I can confirm this, that we have leaders in this country who have been inducted, who have been trained, who know what they are doing. We have the resident district commissioners who supervise, and as a ministry we do the coordination, the monitoring, the supervision, and we ensure that the services are delivered to the people. That's why in the RCC's submission, he said he has, actually I was happy to hear, supportive community, that we have had less challenges. Why? This community has been mobilized, this community has been engaged, this community knows what they want, and they have received what they want, and our role is to ensure that we deliver, and that's our role and mandate as a Minister of Local Government.
Yeah, thank you very much, moderator. I would like to add a little more of that background to say I have served now in 15 districts, including Jinja, and also the other districts are in the Moroto, Kotido, and that with the wide experience I have seen, the develop the the development of these cities, I think, was long overdue. They should have been made cities even earlier than that, because when you look at it, the development of cities is not just something that is brought about by a debate maybe in parliament, or it is just a design of somebody to say we want to put a city somewhere in Chenjejo, and then you just say, okay, let's get it there. But there are issues that always attract the development of a city, which, according to me, when you look at the cities that have been created, like Jinja and Mbale, first of all, I told you from the beginning, this starts with some specific activities that take place in an area. You know, we develop from a village or a cell for a city, and that is a small community. But we also move slowly to what is normally called a town, or you'll find that some towns are incorporated to make a municipality. Or from a municipality, you now graduate into what you would think you are now qualified to be called a city. And all this comes with the kind of activities that are carried in a specific area to attract a town, to attract a municipality or a city. And that goes with the population. The activities carried by the population there is what normally contributes to building what is called a city. And then the social distances, the services that are offered within that area where the city develops, is what graduates a place to become a city. For example, the people are interested of getting better education services, better infrastructure, better housing, better health services. So you find people move to those areas because that is what begins with the normal urbanization stages in an African state like ours. Then you also have the issues of the economic activity, economic mobility, the kind of businesses that thrive within the city. Like in Jinja, for a long time, Jinja, you know very well, has been an industrial hub of this country because of its suitability and location near the Nile. So it is supported the development of many industries. And like I told you, even Mbale now, Mbale was developed because of its agricultural suitability with the coffee which is there and the tourism that is there. Then the same for Moroto. Of course, you see the kind of minerals, the kind of tourist activities that take place, the many wildlife areas that we have around that place, just like even Gulu. Then that kind of thing also is brought about by the heterogeneity of the place. Those who move to the cities are from different areas and have different. I think when you look at the naturally you will find that, I think, from the time of independence, even post-independence, you will realize that our country, I think, with the regional balance and the development of these cities, it was already covered geographically and even literally. You will find that having Jinja and Mbale, Gulu, Lira, and also Mbarara now was suitable, that this is the right time that we should have we should have had our cities, and that it was the correct time to support it, and everything that is there supports the development of this city. They are all unique when you look at all of them. Jinja is unique. Mbale has its own geographical strategy, and then the same with Gulu and also Arua. I think it was okay, and even the distances have no issues.
Thank you so much, our listener, and those who are tuning us, listening to us right now from the other side of radio. We are on 4 radio stations covering Uganda. We are on Butebo Radio, covering all parts of eastern Uganda. We are also live and clear on UBC Red, covering entire Uganda. We are also live and clear on Madiwana FM, and also on Western Nile FM. And also streaming live in case you want to see the guests that I have in the studios. Just go on YouTube and you'll be watching them live and part of the conversation. Please draw your, put your phone there in question. We bring them one by one, and later on you can call us at 0776 511 426. Here is 0721 24 26 42. The number to call is 0776 511 426. This is UBC Browser, where we're discussing cities and their take of stage, what should be their priorities, what must things first. Let's talk about involvement in general. If I go to the break, Doctor,
Yes,
you
please.
see Kampala just 1 kilometer, not even 1 kilometer, half kilometer from the city center, where all very to develop the capital city. You find that the gardens are everywhere. If you have to go to Kabucha, there is a garden of maize. If you have to go on the other side, there is another garden of maize and beans. In the heart of Kampala, the capital city, the pearl of Africa, land lying idle and we failed to really utilize it. But by the policymaker, is it in the land acquisition that we are coordinators insisting government take control of land, that once land should apply, and then you bring in the plan, and then you give the land idle things? What would be the problem, and how best can we develop cities if we are failing in Kampala, and what comes to the other cities, which are lagging and play the way Kampala?
Thanks very much. I think Kampala gives us a very good study case, and it gives us a laboratory or a learning lesson for other intending new cities to come. The Kampala mess is very, very unfortunate, but at the same time also, we may not even blame it to Kampala itself, like Ministry of Local Government or KCCA. It has to have the entire psychic of the political philosophy of Uganda. What do we want to achieve? What do we want to sustain? What do we want to hold on? Okay? Now, if we want to hold on with Kampala as our capital city, we need to deliver some services. And to deliver that services, we need to do massive investment. And this massive investment comes with a cost. Okay? For instance, what is disturbing Kampala now is electricity. Much of our electricity has been focused on lighting purposes. It has not been focused on heavy work like cooking. When you walk, whether in posh areas of Kampala, you'll find the other side to bring you a meal, such that we have neglected to make Kampala more organized, more decent, and to stand as our symbol of independence and our symbol of sovereignty. I wouldn't mind if Kampala had some green gardens, which are well maintained, which are well looked after. But this unnecessary congestion which has invaded Kampala and refused Kampala to expand is partly source of the problem. Cities, when they are expanding, they will do concessions that if you take your mall towards Impigi, these are the concessions you are going to have. If you take your apartment between Nsangi, these are the concessions you are going to have. But when it comes to Uganda's situation, we forget our historical roots. And when we forget our historical roots, we imagine that beautifying Kampala and modernizing Kampala means new buildings. And these new buildings must take away that heritage of Kampala, which is not a very, very good situation. And then when those new buildings take away that heritage of Kampala, even we have not planned for those new buildings, who is going to use them? Trust me, today walk to much of these new high-rise buildings in Kampala, you will not find people after 5 stories. Okay? 5, 8, 9, 10, they are empty. Then why did we go for them when there are no people to occupy them? Okay? Then when you stop it from there, how do you access those new buildings? It has become a very, very big dilemma. The new buildings are almost opened up in suburbs minus accessibility. Then
people are buying roads.
Then why did we wait at 61 to have a new Atra outlet at Queen's Way? And if Queen's Way succeeds to reduce traffic jam, where is it going to pour those vehicles? Is it in Chibuye? Is it in Natete? And who will pick them from there? What is happening to the eastern side of Jinja? When are we having a Diokariji way? Okay, and when are we having that ultra-modern roundabout to release vehicles to Luzira, to Mukono, to Ntinda? Okay. Then in northern route, when are we making it a Diokariji way? Because those are the dynamics now we should be looking after. Okay? And that is how now we can ease or decongest in a good spirit. My brother from local government,
you think it is
talking about
it is very possible to
decongest? Yeah, if you can go for Diokariji ways, you decongest. You decongest.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. This is UBC Ground Zero. We're broadcasting live on 4 radio stations, and we're also live and clear on YouTube. We're streaming live. In case you want to watch us live, you just put UBC Ground Zero, and you'll be part of this video conversation. Send your messages on 0701 24 26 47 or call us on 0776 511 426 and tell us what needs to be done to develop our cities in Uganda and what should be the priorities. They are taking off. They are the take-off stage. What are the first things that need to be done first? I'm going for a very short break and I'm coming back in just a bit. I pray that you don't go away. And when I return, I'll be reading your messages and also receiving your calls. This is UBC. Keep it We're looking at Uganda City as a takeoff stage. Looking at first things first, but we cannot discuss cities, of course, without KCCA. You have told us what is making you busy, but most of the concerns from the Kampala residents has been about roads in Kampala. Are there any plans of working on the roads, especially on the potholes, and expanding them?
If there is anyone listening to you on the program and is based in Kampala, they will appreciate two things. That one, there may be a challenge with regard to our road, the state of our roads, but most importantly, they must be evidently seeing works going on. If anyone listening to you from the stretch of Nakawa to Gorobi to Chitintare to Luzira, they will tell you not a few of contradictions that Potbay Road, Old Potbay Road and Spring Road are under mass reconstruction. They will be expanded and all that. And that's it's part of a big project that we are currently running, financed by the African Development Bank, called the Kampala City Roads Rehabilitation Project. This project is scattered across all the 5 divisions and is going to see the rehabilitation of close to 70 kilometers of road network, giving you roads in a way that we haven't seen previously, where we have covered drainages, street lighting across the whole length of the roads, having signalized junctions, removing some choke points like roundabouts, creating parking spaces for huge trucks, creating amenities such as roadside markets for women and youth, and the more interesting one, also the building of over 30 public toilets along the entire stretch of that project. So it's a huge project that started in earnest at the beginning of the year in around February, taking different lots. There are some lots that are slightly behind schedule, and that's where you find friends who live around Salama Road, those who use Sapo Lokagwa Road, are up high in cry and hue saying, when is the contractor mobilizing here? Those who are listening in from industrial area, 5th Street, 6th Street, 7th Street, and 8th Street, will also say, when is works going to begin? But what we can tell you is that all those roads I've mentioned are part of this project, and the project is in its kickoff stage, and we are working our way around there. But suffice it to say, if you ask me, Kampala residents must appreciate that we are tackling the issue of a livable city, not from a one-sided angle of only infrastructure development. My executive director, Madame Dorothy Kisaka, has been very unequivocal and intentional in pushing what she has termed as the smart city agenda. She termed the smart city agenda for Kampala as a transformative initiative that will leverage 3 major pillars, which is technology. In other words, we are working under her leadership to leverage technology in service delivery. For example, would you believe that for emptying of pit latrines, which by the majority of city dwellers use, and septic tanks, there is an app on your phone called Weyonje that you can use and get that service delivered to you. That's leveraging technology. That you do not have to come carrying a hoard of papers and plans and drawings to KCCA for them to be approved. That you can go online, submit your documentation, and you have your building plans approved and your building permits issued using technology. So technology is one of the pillars. Then, of course, infrastructure development. No doubt, there cannot be a city without good infrastructure, good road network, good drainage, and the like. And all this should be done for people's well-being. So the 3 pillars are technology, infrastructure, and people's well-being. Whatever we do, we ensure that we deliver a city that is going to be a city that you and I are going to be proud to live in, to work in, and associate with.
All right. But also, Simon, talking about the state of markets in Kampala, the congestion is too much compared to other markets. If I have the RCC in Mbare, and would be proud to mention what is taking place in their markets, Mbarara Market, Soroti, and many others. What is the problem with the Kampala markets?
I hope you recognize that those good friends of ours from Barara and Mbare and other cities are talking about at most 2 markets or 3 markets. They have the central market. I have been to Barara many times. I've been to the central market of Mbare. The central market of Mbare pales in comparison to the sheer size of our newest market in Kampala, which is the Seka market. But remember, in Kampala, we have got 16 public markets. 16.
Which
That's
are
not to mention
congested.
private
16
markets.
which are congested.
And I want to tell you that I do not know any place where markets are not congested. In other words, the stall has to be after another stall. That is the whole setup of a market. Can you imagine if you went to a market and you found one stall and then there were 5 empty stalls and the next there are no stalls? You would actually think there is no business going on here. That is the nature of how we do our biashara. If you go to Nakasero market, for you to feel the ambience of the market is when you go there and there are people within their spaces, yes, finding a way of attracting a customer. Bustling metropolis must have some kind of bustling way. I mean, if you go to downtown Guangzhou, clearly it's the same. Markets are the way they are. What we are doing as KCC is to ensure that, number one, are our people able to find markets affordable and attractive to them, those who work there, as opposed to relegating themselves to working on the streets as hawkers and vendors. Are there amenities in markets that treat them with dignity, that they are sanitary facilities, there is security, there is shade, there is storage? That is what we aim at getting. Right. And then there is a semblance of order, and there is fairness in levies onto the market vendors, and that, yes, it creates an atmosphere for good trade and biashara.
Okay. Simon, what happened to our...
We also have a directive from the president, and we hope that the resources will be availed for that, to build 2 markets per division within the next 3 years, to ensure that those our good people that were just off the streets in our decongestion move to ensure that we remove hawkers and vendors, that they find places where to go, because for the most part, many people have claimed that they have no spaces in markets. We also had other challenges in markets, like, perpetual landlords. Someone like you owns stalls in the market, but you're not a market vendor yourself. So you are charging exorbitantly prohibitive rent for people who should otherwise be trading in little things to make a living, but you're making it difficult for them to trade because your rents are extremely high. So that is what keeps us awake as far as the markets are concerned.
Okay. We just talked about some gardens within the capital city. Everywhere, in Kamocha, in Nagulu, we have gardens. What happened to our strategic plan and monitoring and evaluation of the construction? As we don't have systems or mechanisms to check this, because we have unutilized land within Kampala, capital city of Salty, and within the city. Is there any solution to this, or we shall keep seeing this forever?
You'll forgive me, I didn't quite understand you when you said gardens. Did you mean gardens with a matoke and or you're meaning recreational gardens?
Cassava, like maize, beans within the city.
Oh, you're meaning empty spaces belonging to people which they have not developed. We have, through our physical planning directorate, a mechanism of ensuring that, the city is zoned out and the like. But we also are cognizant of the fact that there are some folks who own prime properties but do not have money yet to develop them. So what we do
what is the solution for that?
We cannot in any way say do not farm there. After all, we also provide, by the way, urban farming techniques. If you have your land in the city, for as long as you can cordon it off and doesn't become a haven for wrongdoers and criminals and people smoking illicit and prohibited substances, you may as well use it for whatever it is that you wish it to be used for. So what we do is we ensure that people keep their land as it were. But should there be a need to develop the land, it must be developed according to the dictates of our physical planning team. That they will come and say, this is a residential place where you cannot put this kind of structure. You will not put a factory in this place. You will not put a high-rise building of so many floors. You will not do this and the other. You've seen us in many cases telling developers, or even private owners of properties, what to do with their properties. Some of them haven't taken the liberty to take us to court. And we do that in the best interest of the city. So that there is order, there is harmony, there is tranquility, like you see with other cities across the world.
Hope the smart city doesn't involve the gardening. What is the solution for the jam in Kampala, if we may have it from you?
At least one thing you recognize that the traffic at the moment is as a result of many factors. One of them, like I told you earlier on, we have this city under huge construction. Down from Clock Tower area up to the areas I mentioned earlier on, it's been a construction site for the last over 3 years.
Okay.
So there are diversions, there are congestion, there are all sorts of things that cause traffic gridlocks. But also importantly, currently we are running a project of signalizing 27 city junctions and removing 5 roundabouts. If you notice, much of the congestion in terms of traffic is as a result of approaches to junctions and what you would call roundabouts.
Okay.
So together with our friends from JICA, that's the Japanese International Agency for Cooperation, we are signalizing. Signalizing means we are putting intelligent vitara or lights that will then be synchronized and operated from a central command area. We are currently building a traffic control center at City Hall. If you've been City Hall, you see construction going on. That's a centralized traffic control center that is going to synchronize all traffic lights in Kampala across the entire region, so that we manage our traffic using an intelligent Japanese system called Moderato.
Okay.
Yes, we appreciate the work that is being done by the traffic police, but you see a traffic police officer standing at a junction on Kitgum House and another standing at a junction in Nakawa may not necessarily be speaking together in terms of understanding the intensity of the traffic coming from whichever direction. But with an oversight satellite-driven system, and that's what I was telling you about what Madam Kisaka talks about, leveraging technology. So we're going to leverage technology through this project to ensure that we synchronize all our junctions across the city and operate them from an intelligent point of view. And we hope that will greatly reduce on the gridlock in the city.
Thank you, Simon. Our time is not on our side. But last one, as you give your last comment, you can talk about crime. Crime is increasing, insecurity, and what is the solution to this as you give your last comment?
You will appreciate one that whereas I agree with you, crime is on the rise. KCCA is not a crime prevention agency. I do not speak on behalf of the police either. But suffice it to say,
but
KCCA has become a huge victim.
But
of
also
crime.
you're responsible for the street lights.
And that's where I was coming to. When you look right outside your gate at UBC, right outside there, we have got street lights lining up the entire stretch of Nile Avenue. It is disheartening to note that 7 lights outside the national broadcaster were vandalized. People came, stole the solar panels, stole the bulbs, and even dug into the ground and stole the batteries right outside the perimeter wall of the national broadcaster, which is supposed to be guarded with utmost security, because the last I checked, whenever there is a fall of government, the first place for you to declare you've taken over is by capturing the national broadcaster. So one would imagine that it has impeccable security. So we also wonder as KCCA, who are these vandals who come and vandalize our strategic installation, more so outside the perimeter of a strategic installation of national security?
Okay.
So it should not necessarily be a case of KCCA to be vigilant. I'm calling upon everybody of goodwill, and more so other agencies of government, to be vigilant. Why would KCCA spend colossal sums of money, of taxpayers' money, to put street lights outside your perimeter wall, and your own security that guards you cannot chase away vandals who come to steal?
Anyone in the studio?
We are a victim, or we are victims. You notice right outside your gate, manhole covers have been stolen. Manhole covers that puts you at the risk of falling into them and breaking your leg, or your loved one fracturing themselves or even losing their lives.
Okay.
Right outside the UBC perimeter wall are garbage bins that were stolen and vandalized. And I've used the example of the UBC perimeter wall because that's where you're broadcasting from. Therefore, you're familiar of the area. Multiply that with the rest of Kampala. That is the challenge KCCA is facing.
Thank you,
but
Simon.
we are a victim of crime, and we'll do whatever it takes to ensure that we sensitize people around it, we mobilize like-minded people around it, and we turn the lives of these vandals into a hellish existence. To be
Thank you, Simon, for being
You're
part
welcome,
of us and
Thank
for speaking to the people of Uganda. Unless my guests in the studios have a question for you. If it is not that,
and I do not salute them. Please pardon my bad manners. Dear colleagues in the studio, I salute
Maybe I would
you and
want
thank you so
I
much.
would want Simon to speak something about the GKMA, the Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area, because it's a new concept of metropolis, the metropolitan planning. How he is linking up with the Mukono, Nasana, Wakiso, Sebagabo,
Chira.
and Chira, because the GKMA being supported by JICA and the World Bank. I wanted him to make a statement on that.
Okay.
Well, without letting the cat out of the basket, because the Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area Plan is still in the cooking, what we can tell you is that working with the Ministry of Kampala and ACCA finds itself at the center of this plan, considering our strategic position, our technical nuance around my. What I can see of contradiction is that this.
Losing the signal. We hope to get back to Simon shortly after when he was still answering your question. He's outside the country actually. We are trying to get back to him, and that's why network is not that well. Let me get some also callers. UBC? UBC? UBC?
Yes, good morning.
A very good morning to you. A quick one, sir. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Yes, my name is Alan. I'm calling from Arua.
Please, if you call, reduce on the volume of your radio. That brings the echo into radio, and that really affects our ears. I pray that you work on that before you call. Let me go back to the studios and to answer those concerns, and we continue our program because we have a very few minutes to end this program. ABC?
Yes, good morning.
A very good morning to you. Your name and where you're calling us from?
This is Alan. I'm calling from Arua City.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the program.
You're welcome, sir.
I've been listening, and Amon, I think the next time you need to control. If someone wants, at least let him join the crew in the studio so that it will give us more chance to also have a conversation. I have noticed around three very important issues here. When Julius, I think my brother from Ministry of Local Government was giving his speech, I want to agree with him. Yes, the creation of the city was a very good idea. But there are key things that they have neglected, because yes, cities like Jinja, cities like Mbale have already developed earlier on before this idea of the city is coming. But now take for example cities like Gulu and Rua. More specifically, let me talk about Rua city, because there is a big challenge when it comes to the regional imbalance.
Okay.
And when we talk about the regional imbalance, there are several issues. I can list them, but the more important is when it comes to electricity that they've been talking about. West Nile has been left in the dark for some time. Now, I don't know when cities like Arua that is newly created can operate better without a very good electricity. Yes, my brother talked about these cities are created with the interest of regional development.
Okay,
Which
last
is
one. Last one, please.
Yes, which is very good, but I think there is a problem. And then number two is, the last one is the issue of decongesting Kampala. Yes, he talked about services that are brought closer, like he talked about the passport and what. But what I think should be done is, why don't they separate these ministries? Like for example, if I want the Ministry of Agriculture, I go to Mbale.
Okay.
If I want the Ministry of this, I go to the other region so that we can decongest Kampala.
Thank you so much, Alan, for being part of us.
Okay.
Time is not on the side for those who are still calling. If time allows, I will get these calls. Allow me go back to the studios for the feedback, but also to continue with our program. We're discussing cities. Uganda cities are take off stage. First things first. Let me start with you, Julius. Someone says that would have in creating these cities would also take these ministries there to decongest Kampala. How do you also say that? Also in the same vein, Fupa, James John Fupa is listening in from Bale, says thanks RCC for representing, but my concern is why don't we create another city added to Kampala, the main one, to work as a business center, and we leave Kampala as the administrative one. New York is for business and Washington DC is for administration. The same thing is with Kenya. Nairobi is for administration, Mombasa is for business. In Tanzania, or the same, and also Nigeria did the same with Lagos and Abuja. Can't we make it here in Uganda?
Yes, I think that's what we have done, because when we give you a strategic city, when we give you a regional city, we are basically telling you, tourism, go and chill in Fort Portal. Trade, go to Mbarara. So, and you realize that when you go to these cities, actually these services are there. So, to me, it's done. But also, we also need to observe that whereas Fort Portal is a tourism city, there's also a lot of trade taking place there. Now, on the issue of the ministries, Ministry for Agriculture, Ministry for Trade, these ministries are represented. These ministries are in these cities. And it is in our interest to ensure that a city should deliver those services. That's why I talked about the one-stop center, but also ensuring that the structures of the cities, when we deliver the new structures for cities, and by the way, when you look at these structures, they are different from the local government, the districts, because we have provided for an industrial officer, we have provided for a legal officer, we have provided for investment officers, we have provided for... We have even upgraded some of these positions so that they deliver the services that are very critical for the cities. Now, I don't think, for example, for the Ministry of Local Government, we have, Ministry of Lands, we have the zonal land offices. We have the IGG has the regional offices, and some of these are located in our cities. And actually, you'll also observe that some of these cities have served the original regional service delivery, the original, the old, we used to call them provinces, that they are delivering them. So
okay.
No worries for Alan. I think we are delivering those offices in those cities,
okay.
And it is in our interest to ensure that these cities deliver as promised.
All right.
But there's also something I wanted to highlight.
Quick one, because
a quick
we still
one.
have a lot to discuss.
Okay.
And
okay, maybe
please,
for this,
no,
yes.
you have
the quick one is the partnership that all ministries are on board. All of these ministries, Ministry of Water, Ministry of Lands, Ministry of Agriculture, they are, and when we talk about cities, actually they ensure that the services are at the city level. So we are in touch. We are ministries. All ministries finance. Talk about the city. Call the Minister of Finance. They will even know how much money is there in their city. In the city, call Minister of Water. They will know how much money is for climate change, how much money is for environment, how much money is for wetland. So these services are being delivered at city level.
Yeah. Omar Tendo says we are wasting a lot of money in these things. Districts need money, cities need money, constituencies need money. Why don't we concentrate and prioritize one thing as we start off at the take-off stage? Can't we have, if we have districts, why create cities? Okay, RCC. Let's talk about also crime, since someone also talked about crime. The crime rate is always significant in urban centers, especially when the population grows. What is the solution and solutions to those which are coming up, like Mbare and Jinja? You are RCC, and as far as I'm informed or concerned, you are the head of security in the city of Mbale. Do you have mechanisms or plans to handle insecurity in case it manifests?
Yeah, thank you very much. And indeed, as the coordinator of the security in the city, one of the roles that we do mostly in handling crime is, first of all, to deal with the mindset, the mindset of our citizens. That is through community policing and also continuous mobilization and sensitization. We would like to take the mantle to the people themselves, and that to manage security in the area, just like even in the city, it takes the contribution of each citizen, each household that lives within the city. So we take that as the benchmark, that everybody takes the responsibility to be a neighbor's watch. And that for us as Mbale, we have gone back to reactivate the neighbor's watch and the Nyumba Kumi approach, where we have at least for every 10 households, the people themselves, including the LC ones, have to continue monitoring the security in their areas and also taking care of the visitors who come there. Then we also, as a city, we make sure that there is visibility and mobility of the security apparatus who are in the city. The police, they must always be moving around. Apart from policing, they must also be able to, through surveillance, to pick those other people who the communities identify as trouble causers. Then we also, moderator, we are developing a smart city like Mbale is, and what we do normally is we are looking at digitalizing the transformation and connectivity in Mbale. Like now, we are now on the e-lograph, that is an information system where we are able to monitor the revenue in the city. We are also utilizing the CCTV cameras, and we are going ahead to make sure that each household which has a number, a plot number, people who have smartphones, we like to put them also into a security log system where we are able to monitor households, to monitor the security around those areas, and we keep in touch with the house owners.
All right.
That's how we manage the security. Then, of course, we are also lighting our city. Apart from using the hydropower that we have, we are also making sure that we have smart energy in the city, where we are introducing in most of our streets solar energy, and then we are also encouraging our people to do biogas for powering most of their kitchens, and making sure that we reduce really a lot of pollution by use of charcoal or some other material that destroy the environment. We want to have an environment friendly energy system in Mbale. I'm
glad you improved the lights, security lights, especially when I went there. This street across to where the Central Police is, somehow
is Republic Street.
Yes, it was dark, but when I went back, it was really promising and looking good. Thank you so much, RCC.
Of course, smart also to thank is a program of government, the USMID, that is the Uganda Small and Medium Infrastructure Development Project, which is now working on most of our roads, and I think Mbale is claiming its glory of being the smartest in the country.
And I liked also the planning and the streets. You find one house that is next to the road is some meters away, not common in Kampala and other cities. I play that with time people will be benchmarking from Mbale when it comes to planning, and I pray that you maintain that physical development plan.
Thank you very much.
Doctor, flooding yes. In cities. When it rains, you don't pray to get out or don't wish to get on the streets of Kampala. And someone may think that in the future we may sink and find ourselves in the middle of the ocean when Kampala floods. What could be the solution to this? Is it that we went out and dropped the physical development plan, or even when we're in the plan, we have failed to contain and plan for this water?
I think before I go on flooding, which is now man-made in Kampala, can I throw one punch to Comrade Simon Kasate, if he's still around, and for those who are intending to build cities. Normally we suggest a healthy body in a healthy mind. Much of the recreation grounds have been taken up for development, putting up apartments, putting up housing centers. And where even they exist, there is too much restriction. Like a constitutional square, you can't go there and you rest. You'll be harassed. Lugogo grounds have been eaten up. It is a trend across the country, such that the local government personality who is representing the ministry make sure that we don't lose these recreation facilities as we go for urbanization. Yes, I have used the word that our floods in Kampala are man-made. They are simply created by a reckless behavior of the man. And what is this reckless behavior of the man? Uganda is privileged that how our geodynamics, all the rivers were flowing from east to west. But when the tectonism brought in the Rift Valley, the rivers stopped from continuing to the west, and they somehow came back because they could not climb the western Rift Valley, and they formed a basin, and that huge basin is the Lake Victoria Basin, and the Lake Victoria Basin developed a drainage, an outlet, okay, which is the Nile, together with a wider catchment area which goes as far as Choga, as far as Kaluba, as far as Ruela, all these swamplands and small lakes. Then the dynamics also helped us that we have a natural outlet for the water. And that natural outlet is Lake Victoria and Victoria Nile. What have we done? The entire drainage of the Lake Victoria Nile Basin, we are interfering with it, starting right from my backyard here in Busega and in Atete. We have taken over the swamps, and we have poured their sand, and we have told the millers from Chisenyi and from Katwe that this time you can produce the best grade of maize flour when you do it in those swamps. When you take away the swamps, the capacity by which to hold water from Kampala vanishes. Then at the same time also, we have over-urbanized and told our people, instead of planting some good flowers around your compound, advance and do cementing work. A moment you do uncoordinated cementing work, all the water from the rains will not sink in the ground. Instead, it will just splash off. Then we had the natural drainage channels because Kampala was made of 7 hills. Now I think they have gone to 15 or more. Those 7 hills have natural drainage channels. And if you have natural drainage channels, how do you cry over flooding?
Okay.
What did we need eventually? If we needed to preserve the swamps and to control the drainage, we would have done like the way the Chinese built Entebbe super highway. Wherever they could come across a swamp, they did not disturb it. Instead, they mounted the road upwards in the sky. If you want to get this experience, visit Busega, where the road actually starts, and it is mounted in the space.
Okay.
That is the sort of appropriate technology we need. So I still insist that the floods we are having today are man-made. Open up the channels, allow water catchment areas to flourish, and the water catchment areas, unless you have done deep geographical studies, a water catchment area of Kampala may be rare, but when they are blocking and disorganizing rare, they don't expect a price to pay in Kampala. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Time is taking us so swift. And first, Julius, as a few seconds, if you can use a few seconds. Someone says constituencies have been a success in our neighboring country, Kenya. What has failed us here in Uganda? We have created cities when we had failed districts. A district doesn't have a structure, district without headquarters, without schools and hospitals. In addition, we are talking now about cities. How best can we develop these cities if they cannot sustain themselves?
Yeah, thank you very much. When I started at the beginning of this discussion, I indicated that urbanization is well articulated in our Vision 2040. And urbanization is a phenomenon that is not stoppable. Urbanization is happening now, and as I speak now, people are migrating. People are leaving their natural habitats. People are coming to towns.
Couldn't we also promote these municipalities, which were formerly municipalities and now they are cities?
Yes, yes, we would. But of course, like the vision was very clear, strategic and regional. So we did that. And as you realize that even the municipalities we have today,
why
the
start
level
with the
of
many? Why start with many? Like there are 4 in Western, 3 in Eastern. Why not concentrate on one first? We develop that, and when it
well, I don't know what you mean by many, because this
there are many. There are 4 cities in one region. We could have started with at least Mbarara first when it peaks, and then we develop another one.
No, but you see, there are not many. That's why government decided to phase them. That we start with the 10, and then we bring the 5 on board. And of course, you also know that the creation was intentional to balance the development, and also to ensure that these entities are well planned, because now we are talking about Kampala. We learned many lessons from Kampala, and
the
we are
bad
saying
lessons.
Come again?
Bad lessons or good lessons?
Lessons learned, good practices, and those other practices that could not work for us.
Okay.
So we are saying, let's create cities that are planned, cities that are competitive, cities that are productive. And how do we do it? That's why we are saying we must do first things first. We ensure that we create these cities, we make them attractive, we plan for them, and the future is we have a competitive city. So that now these cities are not left in the other status. We want to upgrade them. We brand them as attractive entities, as engines of growth, as centers of knowledge, ideas, commerce, culture, and this is our intention. But how do we deliver them? We deliver them by planning now, and as the discussion will continue, that we are now planning for these cities. We are sitting down to ensure that
can they sustain themselves without getting money? Without getting money from the central government.
Yes, I want to observe. And I want to assure the listeners that the cities have now grown in terms of revenues. We have embarked on strategic enhancement of revenues, so that these cities are self-sustaining in terms of financing. We have gone into property rating. Okay. We have gone into markets. We have built markets so that they are able to improve their workspaces, they are able to create jobs, they are able to generate income. If you went, for example, I'll give you an example of Soroti, where we have even gone into value addition.
Okay. Thank you, Julius. I'll give you more time, if time allows, to conclude. Let me start with you, Doctor. Your parting shots, last comment, way forward, what needs to be done, cities, Uganda cities at take-off stage, first things first. Doctor?
Thanks very much for giving me this opportunity to wind up the show. My very issue is, let us follow the suggestion of Comrade Fumpa from Mbale. I assume he's the one who is even at UBC. Tanzania decided to shift to Dodoma after seeing that Dar es Salaam is having a lot of issues they cannot resolve. Okay? And they said, let us have peace and independence at Dodoma. But Tanzania had a very strong leader, Nyerere, with a very strong philosophy. Okay? So that with his philosophy and with his muscle, things could work out with the meager resources. Nigeria had the oil boom. And when you know the Nigerian leadership, the Nigerian population always wants to do mega things which reflect their nationalism. So it was easier for Nigeria to say, Lagos, can you remain there, and we jump on Abuja. Now Uganda, we enjoy going for bigger things when we don't have the infrastructure of delivering on those bigger things. That's why I reiterate my statement that we are biting more than we can chew. Let us have these cities reduced or put in a certain schedule that they don't give a lot of pressure on us. Then the other aspect, which should not be abused, it was our government in 1965 which passed the Land Act, that once the government is interested in land for a public good, it should have that land. And in all this expansion, this Land Act has been amended, but when it comes to being implemented, our good civil servants connive with the politicians. Okay. And when they connive with the politician, a politician will dash and put up an infrastructure somewhere.
Thank you, Doctor.
Such that you are forced to compensate him.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Doctor. And LCC, please, in a few minutes.
Yeah, thank you very
Your
much.
parting shots.
What I would advise and encourage all of our listeners and the leadership of the country, including myself, to do in helping our cities is, first of all, the biggest problem we have is to combat poverty by promoting economic development and job creation, which I know is a program of government going on. That is a major issue. The second one is to involve the local communities in local governments in all aspects of urbanization. Like I've told you, the communities in Mbale are being mobilized and they are involved in this activity and they are not headache. Thirdly, to reduce the air pollution by upgrading the energy use and the alternative transport system. That we are now going to electric railway system, and we must make sure that all our cities have locomotives that help to decongest the traffic in those cities. Then fourthly is to create the public-private partnerships which provide services such as waste disposal and housing in the cities. I'm happy the National Housing Corporation is coming back and it is now starting its activities in Mbale. That is very good. And then lastly, let's ensure that we preserve and protect our environment. Plant trees and incorporate the care of city green spaces as a key element to the urban planning. So the planning should take care of greening most of our cities.
Okay.
Thank you.
Most welcome. Julius?
Yes, thank you very much. One is that the ministry operates under a legal regime. The Local Governments Act gives us mandate to monitor, coordinate, give support. We shall keep supporting the cities. We give technical support and ensure that we deliver on the cities. We also need to ensure that trade order in the cities, that cities operate businesses in an organized way. Development control is taken care of. It's our dream to ensure that we have organized settlement in these cities, that cities we have livable cities. When you are in a city, you should also know that you're in a city. We no longer want to ask the question, because people
is to ask this question: where is the city? As I speak today, people have known where the cities are, and they are now part of the city. The other thing is the mindset. We are working on the mindset. We are mobilizing our people through PDM. Now that we have reached we are now on the last mile, and that is our real game changer. The PDM. We are reaching out to the people. We are talking to them, delivering resources to them. The other issue is the digital service delivery, digitalizing revenues, enhancing revenues for sustainability. And the philosophy, because and I want to assure the listeners that we shall deliver these cities. These cities are not many. These cities have been categorized. Our lives actually have been made easy because we know where the regional city is, where the strategic cities is. And the other thing, our foundation, the biggest foundation we have today is the leadership in this country. The president is supportive. The members of parliament are supportive. The local people, the city leadership is very, very supportive. The RCC. So we are building on a very firm foundation, and I believe that in the next 2-3 years, these cities will be really good to go. And I can assure you that we are already taking off, and we need people on our side.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This brings us to the end of our discussion on UBC Radio today and UBC Ground Zero. We're discussing Uganda cities at take-off stage. First things first, what will be the priorities? And I believe that you picked a leaf from our discussion today. It was a privilege having you, Dr. Christopher Wanga of UPC. And also we had Julius Masereka is a Principal Urban Officer from the Urban Administration Department, coming from the Ministry of Local Government. And it's also a privilege and honor having you, Jira John Rex, who is the RCC Mbale City. And it was also a privilege having Simon Kasiate, who is the spokesperson of Kampala Capital City Authority. This is UBC, and we've been also on Butebo Radio and covering the eastern parts of this country. And we've been part also to the Western Nile region, Teso sub-region, Lango sub-region, Karamoja sub-region, and parts of Teso sub-region on Western Nile Radio. And also live and clear on Magic 100 FM. Most programs are coming your way on those radios, and On the Journey is coming your way and with George Ngobi on UBC Red. Until next time, same station, same stations, same program, and different topic. Ampaire Amonoptega is my name. We thank you for those who have been part of us from the other side of radio and those who have been following this conversation online on YouTube. The repeat of this program is always on Sunday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Many thanks to the team that I worked with and also our executive producers. For God and my country, Ampaire Amonoptega, allow me now to sign out.
That was Ground Zero Season 2, a production of Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, UBC, inspiring Uganda. It's hot.
We passed it. We didn't know exactly what the problem was on the ground. There is no pretending about the effect.